Hey there everyone, my name is Wei and welcome to the channel. Today, I've got something really exciting to share with you. Have you ever wanted to change the background of a photo effortlessly? Whether it's for a person, an object, or just about anything? Well, stick around because I'm going to show you an awesome ComfyUI workflow using Flux models that can do just that. Let's dive in and get creative. Let me show you a few examples. Here's an image of an eye gel with a simple background. Using this workflow, we can give it a more elegant and fresh background like this. Notice how the light and shadows on the product have changed, yet all the details, including the text, remain intact. Now let's try another background, something cooler and more striking, with the light coming from the right. See how versatile this is? We can even change the background for people as well. You can definitely use this workflow to change the backgrounds of both people and objects at the same time, and it works great. Let me walk you through how to use it. I'll demonstrate how versatile this workflow is by changing the background of a woman and her motorcycle in the picture. If you want to try it out yourself, you can find the download link for the workflow in the description below the video. This workflow is made up of 5 node groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first one removes the original background and positions the subject, like the woman and the motorcycle in our example, on a gray background. In the second group, we bring the Flux model to generate a new background that fills in the gray area we created earlier. It starts to look pretty good, but you'll notice the woman and the motorcycle still look out of place because they haven't been adjusted to match the new background's lighting. That's where the next 2 groups come in. We use them for relighting and repainting the subjects, adjust the light and shadows on the woman and the motorcycle to blend seamlessly with the new background. However, these adjustments can sometimes cause a bit of detail to be lost. So we use the final group to restore all those fine details and make the image look just right. Now, let's dive deeper into each group step by step and see how to adjust the parameters to get the effect we want. Let's go back to the first node group and break it down. The goal here is to place the woman and the motorcycle onto a gray background, which will act as a reference for the Flux model to generate background later. The image we create has 2 layers. The top layer is the cutout of the woman and the motorcycle without any background, and the bottom layer is just a solid gray background. We use the image blend node to merge these 2 layers and adjust the size and the position of the subjects. To start, we need to remove the background from the original image. Once we upload the image, we use the Experiment node to remove the background. It's currently the best tool for this job. We adjust the precision of this removal using the threshold parameter. A higher threshold means a more precise cutout, which is especially useful when dealing with tricky areas like here. Just a tip: if you're working with portraits, it's a good idea to tidy up any messy hair before uploading to make it easier for Experiment to process. Next, we might need to use this node to tweak the exposure of our image. If it looks a bit dark, like in our case, we can brighten it up by adjusting the exposure setting. I bump it up to 5 here to make sure the lighting matches the future background we are going to generate. Now, to create that gray background, we need to define the size of the image using the CRImageSize node. In this example, I've set the width to 1600 and the height to 900, but you can choose whatever dimensions you need. The actual gray color is created using the image blend node by setting the red, green, and blue values to 125. If you want a different color, you can easily adjust those values. Since the final image from the first node group is fed into the sampler of the second group for denoising, it's helpful if the blank image is similar in color to the final background. This makes the blending process smoother and helps achieve a more natural look when we generate the new background. Once we have the woman separated from the background and placed on the gray background, we can use the image blend node to adjust her size and position. Usually, we start by adjusting the scale to change the size of the woman in the image. After that, we fine-tune her horizontal and vertical positions. The great thing about these adjustments is that you don't need to enter any specific numbers. Just drag the sliders to get everything exactly where you want it. This node also gives us a mask for the woman and the motorcycle, which we'll use later on in the process. There's another node here called mask girl. I set the girl parameter to -1 to eliminate any white edges that might be left after removing the background. In this first group, there are switches that control each set of nodes. It's best to turn this on one at a time. Start with the first one, then move on to the next after you've completed the goal of each group. This step-by-step approach helps ensure everything works smoothly. Alright, now that we've covered the first node group, let's move on to the second one, where we use Flux to generate the new background. Compared to SDXL models, Flux has a better understanding of semantics, composition, and lighting effects, which makes it ideal for this task. Using the nodes on the left, we generate a new background. But you'll notice that the subjects, the woman and the motorcycle, are not our original uploads. They are just placeholders with matching outlines. Since the outlines match perfectly, we can easily replace the placeholders with our uploaded versions of the woman and motorcycle using the nodes on the right. The nodes on the left are part of the Flux ControlNet workflow, a project developed by X Labs AI. I'll include a link to it in the description below the video. To set this up, you'll need to download the ControlNet models. I'm using the Canny V3 version here, and I'll provide a download link for that. Once you've got the model, place it in the ComfyUI/models/xlabs/ControlNet folder. Then refresh ComfyUI so it recognizes the new model. The node above sets the prompt of the image, which should describe both the subject and the background in detail. Make sure to be precise, especially when describing things like hairstyles. The line art is generated using the woman and motorcycle images on a gray background created by the first node group. After adjusting the image size and position of the woman, ControlNet helps the Flux model create a background that aligns perfectly with the location and outline of our subjects. This ensures the shadows and reflections look natural. Next, we overlay our original woman using the node on the right. Even though ControlNet helps with the outline, it's not always perfectly precise. That's why we use the Big Llama Remover node to erase the Flux-generated subjects before pasting our original woman over it, ensuring that there are no issues with the edges. The Big Llama Remover needs a mask of the subject to know which areas to remove. To create this mask, we use the Mask Add node to combine two masks. The first mask comes from our initial setup in the first node group. The second mask is from the main body of the image after we remove the background, which includes the woman and the motorcycle generated by Flux. Combining these two masks is crucial because ControlNet can sometimes be a bit off, creating subjects that extend beyond the outline we specified. By adding the two masks, we can more accurately remove any excess, ensuring that our original woman and motorcycle cover the Flux-generated ones without any unwanted extras, like straight hair. For example, in this case, we use Flux to generate a podium for the product in the background. Since InspireNet treats both the product and the podium as a single subject, removing the background will create a mask that includes both. If we use the Llama Remover with this mask, it will erase both the product and the podium. This would leave the product floating in the air, which looks awkward. To fix this, we can switch to Input 2 and select the original mask. This keeps the podium of the product generated by Flux intact. Once we have the correct mask, we use the Mask Girl node to expand it, ensuring all parts of the body are covered without leaving any unwanted edges. You can tweak the expansion size and blur settings as needed to get the best result. After finalizing the mask, we use the Image Composite Mask node to overlay our subject onto the background that's being processed by the Llama Remover. The resulting image should have no problems with the edges, although it might look a bit unnatural because of how it blends with the surroundings. For example, based on the shadows on the ground, it's clear that strong light is coming from the right side. Therefore, there should be highlights on the right side of the woman's body to match this lighting. Next up, We'll adjust the lighting using the following node group. The core of this group is the IC light, which is specifically designed for relighting, and you want to keep these parameters at the default settings. I imported this image into the sampler's latent space, where it appears as a black and white version of the image generated by the previous group. You can adjust its brightness and contrast using the node on the left, which helps change the strength and softness of the light. Here's what the image looks like after relighting. Although the initial quality isn't great, you can see that the left side of the image is now properly illuminated, matching the shadows on the ground. Don't worry about the loss of quality here. We can fix that in the next steps. We use the color blend node to bring back the color by referring to the image generated by the previous group. However, there might still be some issues about color and contrast. So we use the auto adjust node to tweak these settings. You can fine-tune the contrast and brightness depending on the specific look you are going for. We also use the image composite mask node on the right to overlay the background generated by Flux over the one created by IC Light. This is because we are mainly interested in changing the light and shadows on the main subjects, and the background generated by IC Light isn't always the best quality. If we compare the image before and after relighting, you will notice a significant difference in light and shadow. Now let's work on recovering some of the lost quality with the next group. This next step involves a typical image-to-image repainting workflow. I use an SDXL lightning checkpoint to repaint the image in 3 steps, which is much faster than using Flux. I still rely on ControlNet Canny to maintain the outline. As long as the outline is accurate, we can recover a lot of the finer details. There's an image switch node that lets you choose which image to repaint. If you select option 1, you are repainting the image without any relighting, just the one generated by the Flux background group. If you go with option 2, you are repainting the image that's being relighted by IC Light. Generally, option 2 is the better choice, unless the IC Light relighting effect isn't as good as the original lighting in the uploaded image. Even if the image quality from IC Light isn't the best, we can restore it using the node group below. The key parameter to adjust here is the denoising strength, which you tweak to enhance the image quality and bring back more detail. The next group is super important because it restores the details that might have been lost during the relighting and repainting stages. There's another image switch node here, and I've chosen option 2 to recover the image after using IC Light. Now, option 1 usually works well if you want to enhance the image quality after repainting, but in this case, our image has a lot of details, especially with the woman and the motorcycle. After repainting, the quality wasn't as good as the unprocessed image, so we are focusing on the image after IC Light relighting to bring back those details more effectively. This way, we make sure all the fine details are preserved, while still achieving the desired lighting effects. Both these nodes are designed to recover details in different ways. The node on the left is great for enhancing fine details, while the one on the right focuses on restoring light and shadow. The main parameters to adjust here are blur sigma and the blur size. The following 2 factors can be adjusted by keeping them at 1. On the far right, we have the image blend node, which allows us to blend these 2 images together, balancing their strengths. You can adjust the blend percentage to decide how much of each image you want to use in the final result. Take a look at the final output. See how the woman, the motorcycle, and the background blend together seamlessly? It's looking pretty natural, right? And that's it for today. I hope you found this workflow as exciting and useful as I do. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss any of my future tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.